The last time browsers actually changed was 2008. Everything since then, Chrome, Edge, Arc, has just been a variation of the same formula. Tabs everywhere, 12 extensions, and still constantly jumping between your browser and ChatGPT. There's a browser that actually breaks that pattern, and I'm going to show it to you today. I'm Pallen, a brand strategist. Welcome to my channel, where I share tools and strategies to help you build a smarter, faster workflow. Today, I'm partnering with Neo, and I want to be upfront about that, but I also want to be upfront about something else. This tool genuinely surprised me. The browser space really has not seen real innovation in a long time, and Neo is a legitimate exception to that. Neo is the world's first safe AI native browser. It was built by the Norton team, which means privacy isn't a feature, it is a foundation. And everything I'm about to show you is free. You gotta love that. So let me walk you through how it actually works. Before I show you any of the features, I wanna start with the thing that actually made me trust Neo enough to use it, because in 2026 and beyond, every AI tool wants access to your data, and most of them get it. This is Neo's homepage, and I want you to notice something before we even get started, before we do anything. Right here on the screen, it says, "Your privacy matters." That's not just, something shoved in the footer. This is what Neo wants you to know, and it means it. Neo takes a different approach to AI than pretty much every other tool out there. Your chats and browsing history are stored locally, right here on your device, so nothing gets sent to the server. And Norton Web Shield is built directly into the browser, which means it's blocking malicious sites and phishing attempts before you even click, not after, before. And that same protection also extends to your inbox, might I add, so Neo can detect phishing emails too. So many things I love about this tool. Here's another one. You are in control of what Neo remembers. So you can review it, edit it, or turn it off entirely. And when you delete something, it's actually gone. Nothing hidden, nothing archived in the background. That's what it looks like, I think, to have real AI assistance without handing over your data to get it. Okay, so you probably know how you have your browser open, ChatGPT open in another tab, and maybe Google Docs in a third, and you're constantly copying and pasting between all of them. Well, Neo collapses all of that into one bar called the Magic Box. And once you see it, you're gonna wonder why every browser doesn't work this way. So this is the Magic Box. It's the feature that changes how you think about browsing, I think entirely. Watch what happens when I type freelance contract template for creative services. So that's the search. Neo routes it to Google results, just like you'd expect. But here's where it gets interesting. If I type in a URL, it navigates there directly. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. But if I ask it a question, it answers it like an AI. So one bar has three completely different behaviors. Neo figures out which one you need based on what you type. You don't have to worry about that. Okay, now for the part that I use constantly. If you type the @ symbol, I can tag any tab that I have open and pull it into the search or the conversation. So let's say I have 3 articles open on the same topic, which I do. I can reference all of them at once, and I can ask it to, say, synthesize across everything. Rather than switching apps or copying and pasting between windows, I can just keep this same train of thought in one place. This feature alone, I find that it's keeping me out of tools like ChatGPT more. And really everything that I used to do where I was just jumping between a bunch of different tabs, I find it a lot easier to do it here now without ever leaving the page that I'm on. I want to show you 2 features back to back because together they solve what is the biggest productivity problem most people don't realize that they have, and that is the chaos that builds up every time you do research online. Okay, I have to show you this because once you see it, you'll wonder how you ever researched anything without it. When you hover over any link, a small little Neo icon appears, so you can click it, you can get a full preview of that page without actually opening it in a new tab. You can also ask Neo to summarize it, so before you've even committed to clicking through, that can be really helpful to get the quick gist of an article or of a page. Think about how much time you waste opening tabs just to close them 10 seconds later. Well, this eliminates that entirely. You can scan and summarize and decide, and that way your tab bar stays clean. Now, speaking of clean, let me speed up this next part, opening a bunch of browser tab windows here. So I've got lots of tabs open. This is where Neo does something really neat to help me stay organized. Up here, you may have already spotted it. Smart tab grouping automatically organizes your open tabs by topic or by task. So all of these get grouped under search. I've got social, I've got technology, email. So related articles, tools, and pages get pulled into labeled clusters. Think of it that way. Instead of a wall of tabs, you have a workspace that actually makes sense. And you can collapse any group that you're done with. You can reopen past sessions without hunting them down in your history. If you're someone who regularly has 30, 40, maybe 50 or more tabs, I know you are, this feature should definitely help. Now here's where I want to show you Neo in the context of how I actually use it, because the best way to understand what an AI native browser means in practice is to watch how it handles a real workflow from start to finish. Here's a scenario I'm guessing a lot of you live in regularly. You're researching a topic, you've got multiple articles open, you need to turn all of that into something, say a piece of content, an email, a document, or maybe even a script. That's common for me. So I pre-opened a bunch of these links to save time. Now watch, instead of reading each one of these individually and trying to hold it all in my head, I'm going to type the @ symbol in the magic box and tag each of these tabs. Then I will ask, what are the key takeaways from these articles? Neo reads across all of them at once, not just the page I'm on, but everything that I've tagged, and you can imagine how useful this is for researching my next YouTube video. Now I'll take it one step further. Help me draft an outline for a YouTube video on this topic. And just like that, I have a starting point. Now watch what happens when I switch over to Gmail and open a new Compose window. I'm going to use the typing assistant, which will appear there, to draft an email about the video outline, and it activates right here in the Compose field. So it's part of the browser itself. I type my prompt, and in a few seconds, it drafts the whole thing. And because it's pulling from context of what we've already been doing in this session, it doesn't sound generic. It sounds like something I would send based on what we just did. And that is the point. The last thing that I want to show you is something that no other browser does, at least to my knowledge, and it's one of those features that sounds small until you realize how much friction it's been quietly eliminating from your day. You can tell Neo to remember things, so I can type something like, remember, I'm working on a rebrand for a client in the fitness space, something like that, and Neo stores it. Then to access and manage your memories, you just go to settings. Here, they'll start to populate gradually over time. Now, while we're here, let's talk about interests. This is Neo's answer to the algorithmic feeds that are designed to keep you distracted. Instead of serving you up content based on what will get a reaction, Neo Feed is curated around what you're actually interested in, and it runs entirely on your device. So there's no data collection and no ads, and it just pays attention to your work and your interests, and it reflects back at you in a way that is actually useful. So that's Neo. And I want to come back to something that I said at the start. The browser is the one tool that you can use for literally everything. It's where you research, write, communicate, manage projects, and spend most of your working hours. And yet for a long time, we've all accepted that the browser just holds tabs and all the real intelligence has to come from somewhere else. Neo changes that. It was built by the Norton team, so privacy is baked in at an architectural level. Everything I showed you today is free. That is so awesome. And it's available now on Mac and Windows and mobile coming soon. The link is below, so go and try it. And let me know in the comments what you think, what feature you're most excited to use or which one you love using. I'll be replying to every single comment. And if this is useful, hit the like button. That helps other people discover these videos, which we work hard to create for you. And subscribe if you want more tools, workflows, and building a smarter brand. I'm Pallen. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.